What if I told you that families here in the United States that currently make over $150,000 per year or over $12,000 per month, well, they're still broke. This is actually turning to a massive crisis where now more and more banks aren't even lending to high income earners. I want to break down what's going on, what we are likely to see to the middle and lower income households as well here in the near future. So make sure you stick around and watch this entire video. But first, before I get into the update for today, I do ask one thing. It takes 2 seconds. Go ahead, hit that like button if you enjoy these daily updates. And now, let's begin. For most Americans, they can't even fathom making $150,000 per year. For many households, that is a dream. To make over $10,000 a month would be incredible for millions and millions of Americans. However, there's an issue. More families that are making over $150,000 per year are living paycheck to paycheck. They can't afford their current lifestyle, whether it's their home, their insurance, whether it's health, auto, life, doesn't matter, can't afford it. They can't afford their car payments, their credit card bills, just their daily essentials. It's becoming too much. This is what the new United States looks like, where people that are making over $150,000 per year are waiting on their next paycheck because they can't afford to get by. Look at this. It says 2/3 of consumers say they need their next paycheck to pay bills. This is crazy, and I want to read this to you because more and more people are struggling at this time. And they're struggling because of the costs that continue to increase. Whether it's their utility bills, whether it's their food costs, whether it's gas, right, just to get around in their vehicles, whether it's their insurance for that vehicle or the actual car payment itself. Look at this. It says increasing bills and affordability struggles. It says higher utility costs and essential expenses were putting a strain on U.S. consumers. According to the report, 78% of consumers reported bill increases in the prior year, and most common being electricity, insurance, and gas. It says right here, struggling paycheck to paycheck households were more likely to notice this increase, with 82% of them experiencing at least one hike. In comparison, 74% of financially stable consumers saw similar increases, with those living paycheck to paycheck facing hikes on nearly half of their bills, while stable households saw increases in 37% of their bills. Yeah, it's an issue. It's a huge, huge issue. But why is this a problem? Why are Americans struggling at this time? Well, there's multiple reasons why. But let me show you this, and this is going to answer some of those questions. It says, what's driving Americans' record high credit card debt? Well, this annual survey is going to reveal that. We're going to get to that in just a moment. But the reason why more Americans are putting some of their expenses on credit cards, and maybe you're one of them, is because you're waiting on that next paycheck. This is a common thing that many people do, is they have an expense, whether it's they need to buy food, they need to pay for their car insurance, they need to, let's say, pay for some emergency, whether it's to their car or a medical bill or just some medication, right? But one of the things that they do is, okay, I'm going to receive my paycheck in 2 weeks. Yay! But what do I do in the meantime? What do I do for those 14 days? Oh, I know. I'll just put that expense on my credit card, and when the bill comes, I'll just pay it off. Because once I get my paycheck, I'll pay off my credit card. Yeah, it sounds great, but most people don't do that. But this is the reason why this is turning into an issue. Look at this. It says nearly half of credit card debt holders say the main reason they carry a balance is because of an emergency or unexpected expense. Of those, 15% said it was due to an emergency medical bill, 9% said it was for car repairs, 7% for unexpected home repairs, and 16% for another type of emergency or unexpected expense. What you need to keep in mind is that credit cards used to be used for emergencies. That's what they were meant for. Well, technically they're just from the banks to try to make more money. But the reason why many Americans receive and go and open up a line of credit is to use it for an emergency, right? The car breaks down. You need a credit card. Or to rent a car. Most cases, you need a credit card, right? So these are some emergencies. Well, guess what? Many people are being turned down by their credit card companies. They're seeing their account closed because they were becoming what they call high risk. But here's the crazy thing. Financial experts years ago, this is during the pandemic even, they said all you need is 3 to 6 months worth of an emergency fund and you will be perfectly fine. And then over the past couple of years, we started to see more financial experts say that 3 to 6 months was not enough. You need between 6 and 12 months of an emergency fund just to get by. So let's say you make $5,000 a month. Okay, let's say your expenses are $3,000 or let's say $4,000 a month. Well, if you need 6 months worth of your expenses, that emergency fund, 6 times 4, was that $24,000 that you need? Or if you want to get a full year's worth, you need $48,000 in a bank account, in a savings account, something that's liquid. How many people have $48,000 just sitting around doing nothing? Not many, because right now, even the high income earners are broke. They don't have the money that they once did. And it's because of the lifestyles that we live. Let me read this to you. It says, the survey found that 28% of people hold a credit card balance to cover day-to-day expenses like groceries, childcare, and utilities. Only 11% said they carry a balance for retail purchases like clothes and electronics, while 9% said they carry a balance for vacation and entertainment purposes. But here's the crazy thing. If even high-income earners are struggling and are broke, what chance do the rest of us have? What chance does everyone else that makes, $80,000 or $25,000? How are we supposed to get by? That's part of the issue. Now, I want to read this to you, okay? I want to read a little bit of this article to you. And the reason why is because if you are making over $150,000 per year, you should be fairly stable. But the reason you're not is because of two things: housing and auto loans. Those are two of the biggest factors, in addition to just everyday expenses like food, utilities, and things like that. And in a moment, I want to show you this. I want to show you this article where it says in these cities, you can earn a 6-figure income and still be broke. That article came out just yesterday. Now, here's the problem though. Let's talk about car loans. Okay? What is the average car payment? What is the average car payment? Well, it says right here. The average monthly car payment is $742 a month for new cars, $525 for used. But that doesn't include insurance. That doesn't include any maintenance. That doesn't include fuel. So for most people, they're paying over $1,000 per month for a new vehicle. That's troubling. But listen to this. Here's the other problem. This is why many Americans, whether you're lower income, middle income, or a higher earner, are actually struggling. It's because of the price of homes. And for many people, they can't afford to go and buy a home because of the down payment or just the monthly payment itself. But the reason why and the issue that they're facing is they have to go and rent. Well, landlords are figuring it out and realizing that there's so many people looking to rent, they're just going to keep raising the prices because people continue to pay it. Listen to this though. Currently, the median U.S. household costs $416,900. That's the median home price. That means a 20% down payment is like $84,000, roughly $84,000, $85,000 maybe. Okay. If interest rates today, I believe, are like 6.5%, 6.6%, that means your payment, your interest, taxes, your insurance, that's probably going to come out to about $2,500 a month. Okay, so again, that's a decent chunk of change, especially if you're making, let's say your whole household is making $4,000 or $5,000. That's 50%. That's more than 50% of your income. But how many people have $83,000, $84,000, $85,000 just lying around? Not many. So if you take that let's say $85,000 out, that means you're going to pay roughly $416,000 for that home with no down payment. If you can qualify for that, and if you can get it, you're probably, well, you got to factor in mortgage insurance as well. So you're probably looking about maybe $3,500 a month. So pretty much $1,000 increase because you didn't have $83,000 to $85,000 laying around. Yeah, that's a problem. That's why many people are getting in trouble. But look at this right here. I want to show you this article. These are the cities that, if you live in these cities, your chances are you're still broke, even if you make over 6 figures. Look at this right here. Here are the least affordable cities in the United States: San Francisco, Boston, Honolulu, Washington, D.C., Seattle, New York, Denver, Baltimore, Portland, Minneapolis, and Hartford, Connecticut. Those are the least affordable cities. Monthly expenses in San Francisco total over $10,000. In Honolulu, $9,800. In Seattle, $9,600. In Hartford, Connecticut, $8,400. Yeah, but look at the net monthly income. This is the big one. Net monthly income is negative $1,800 in San Francisco, negative $1,600 in Boston, negative $1,400 in Honolulu, negative $1,400 in Washington, D.C., negative $1,000 in Seattle. Yeah, it's an issue. Here are the most affordable cities, whether you want to live there or not. It says it's Cleveland, Louisville, Memphis, New Orleans, Cincinnati, Milwaukee, Pittsburgh, Indianapolis, Detroit, Houston, Las Vegas, and Nashville, Tennessee. Net monthly income is plus $751, or in Cleveland, plus almost $1,400. So, what we are hearing from many experts is that the reason why more and more families are struggling, even if they make over $150,000 per year, is simple. Is that their livelihoods they're outliving their income. Okay? They're doing too much. They need to scale back, whether it's selling a car, downsizing their home, stop eating out, limit their entertainment, right? Pay down bills. What's happening is more and more Americans, as they receive a higher income, and we see this all the time. Let's say you're making $50,000, and all of a sudden you get a $10,000 bonus, a $10,000 increase per year. What normally happens is somebody realizes, oh, I just made an extra $10,000 this year. We could probably afford a newer car, so they go get a newer car, and then they get another, a $10,000 bonus the next year. Okay, and they think, okay, well, I'm doing pretty well. I went from making $50,000 to now I make $60,000 plus. I got an additional $10,000 bonus, so I'm $70,000. We could probably afford a new home. So then they decided we need to upgrade, and they keep going and keep going and keep going. Unfortunately, it creates an issue. Here's the reason why this is hurting millions of Americans, not just those that are higher income earners. As the higher income earners realize they can't afford their life, they decide to sell their car, maybe at a loss. Fine. But here's what happens. As more and more people do that, it brings car prices down. So as the middle income and lower income households realize, I can't afford my life either, they decide to sell their cars too. But yet, car prices just came down because the higher income earners did the same thing. And think about this, because we see this all the time, whether it's at the dollar store, whether it's at Target, whether it's at Albertsons and Safeway and Fred Meyer. What happens is higher income earners go into these stores, Walmart included, and they decide, I don't want to buy the $6 loaf of bread. I don't want to buy the special $4 gallon of milk. I don't want to get the special seasonings, or I don't want the higher cuts of the better cuts of meat. I don't want those things because they're too expensive. I'm going to go and buy the cheaper cuts. I'm going to go buy the loaf of bread for $1.99. I want the gallon of milk that costs $2.99. I want the hot dogs from McDonald's that are under $1 for a pack. That's what I want. And as more and more higher income earners go and buy the less expensive items, it takes those items off the shelves for those that actually can only afford those. That's where it's turning into an issue. So this is my warning to you. As higher income earners realize that they are technically broke, it's going to make it harder for everybody else to afford the necessities. So, I will leave you with that, but if you have any questions whatsoever, please ask your questions down in the comment section below. But again, thank you guys for watching, consider subscribing, and I'll see you guys on the next one.